Splash! You've just entered the deep end. Welcome back to the deep end, a follow up course to your entree that is Brandon's Discuss Anime. We just watched Fate. I was going to say Grand Order, but Fate Extra Last Encore. And ooh boy, that was indeed an anime. I may have used that joke
You did.
in the main one,
You did.
but lots of complicated, convoluted things that don't really get explained in the end.
Not in the anime. I mentioned this before, but this series is most definitely one that they said they wanted to work well for, like, regardless of if you had watched or played the original game or not. I still don't think they succeeded because there's a lot of shit that's just kind of left out as to why things are possible. Like Ren and Ronnie fusing with their servants or seemingly able to. Because we only got outside of like the armor and weapons they wield when they're fighting, the only thing we get to see are like the silhouettes when they first get into that like mound on the 6th floor. And we get to see the silhouettes of Lubu and Kugelain fighting each other very briefly.
So that's the figure I saw
Mm.
because a week ago I mentioned to you that I saw a grand. Why do I keep saying Grand Order? Um, Last Encore in with a spear, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, what's this? Does she have some kind of battle armor in that? Then you said, oh, you'll find out.
Yep. Yeah, Ren's battle mode is when she's wielding Gay Bolg, and apparently, I guess, assuming what she's basically doing is something out of Fate. What is it? Prisma Ilya. That's the kind of thing that would happen in there, where you insert the card into your magic wand or whatever, and you take on aspects of that servant, right? That's the kind of form she's taken at this point, where she's basically wearing a red female version of Lancer's armor and wielding Gay Bolg.
So, jumping back to Grand Order for just a second, I'm surprised that even though this came out in 2018, early 2018, I can't find anything about a Kukulane Rin hybrid in the Grand Order game
Yeah, kind of
yet.
surprising actually that hasn't dropped on.
I may be completely missing it, but I think I was searching for Rin's servants, and the two Ishtar and the one blonde Rin only popped up, so.
It's kind of surprising, yeah, you'd think, but I mean, I guess it's because she wouldn't really have much different to add to what Kukulane doesn't already have with all of his variants.
Make it another variant of Kukulane. Hey, they
Yeah, but
have
like,
like
what are you gonna give her that's different?
they have
Like,
like 7 different
like
Arterias.
yes, however, like Arteria's got different noble phantasms and shit.
Well, who else uses Gay Bogue? Um,
Only Scathach, and she doesn't. She's only got 2 forms that actually wield it, as far as I know. She has a caster version, but I don't think she's using it in that form.
well then, just give in Gay Bogue
She's
too.
just gonna stab people with it. Like, we don't see anything. Now, granted, that might be different in the game. Who fucking knows? Because neither of you or I have played it. Point is, as far as we've seen, there's been nothing different. Hell, she never even. No, she does. She does use it, and it just does the same thing that Lancers does. It's the exact same shit.
Eh, I'm just saying that I'm kind of surprised it's not there, but
I'm
oh well.
surprised, but I also can't see how they're gonna make it different enough to warrant it.
Maybe, maybe. But enough about Grand Order. We
Yeah.
could go off on like a half-hour discussion about this.
Oh, half hour. No, we branch off into all sorts of different shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So where do we want to start with this?
Why is Rin blonde at the end?
I have no answer for that.
What is she going to restart?
I have no answer for that. Even if she reboots Seraph, where's it gonna go? You're the only human left alive. Unless you can reboot the souls of the dead now?
Is she still human, technically?
She's basically human that has mind and soul, but no body.
So is her consciousness inside Seraph?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea. Like, anybody that's inside Seraph has abandoned their body, basically.
So the whole school in the beginning, that was, let's just say, 1,000 people, and the 128 who killed all the others survived into the first round.
Probably. Hell, there might have been more, like the way Hakuno died. Like, might have died the same or a similar way that Hakuno died, right? Where, like, they're human, but they got killed before they even got to summon their servants. And from what I remember from that first episode, that's a cycle that keeps happening. Where, like, you get reincarnated in, like, a new version of things, and you go through the war again until somebody wins the Grail. That was until Twice started fucking with it and said, fuck humanity. And stopped, like, the whole recycling of the Grail War.
Twice wasn't a good final villain, I'd say.
Not here, anyway.
Yeah.
I was reading, like, the wiki dive on him, and it's like, okay, at least he's got more going on when it comes to the games, but it doesn't actually, like, that doesn't carry over in the anime. A lot of it's just kind of like this whole nihilistic humanity is just fucking over. There's no point. None of them are working together. The planet's fucking wasted. It's been 1,000 years and there's like nothing left of humanity. You may as well just kill it. There's no point. Let it die.
Could you resurrect humanity?
What, like outside of Seraph?
Yes.
I don't think so.
So the moon cell isn't super powerful?
I don't think the moon cell can manipulate anything outside of itself.
Then what's the point of wishing for something with the moon cell?
Honestly, the way it was described, it seems like it's more of a symbol of, like, if you come back and you've gotten the moon cell, you know, if you've come back as the champion, you essentially have, like, the means to do something with it, right? Like, at the time that it was happening, people would have had bodies to return to, right? They don't anymore.
So your physical self could have something.
I would say that, like, after the first few Grail Wars or whatever would have happened, you know, once you return to your body, you'd have been able to call upon it to do something for you. Problem is, it's been 1,000 years, and anybody who's in here is already dead physically.
So the timeline branches off at some point because there were previous Holy Grail Wars.
As far as we know, it seems like the Fate Zero Grail War happens, but with different participants. Like, we see Twice in a flashback in what looks to be the Holy Grail War of Fate Zero. Something still happens. Yeah, something still happens where the Grail gets destroyed because he's in the fire. I'm pretty sure that kid that he sees there before he just accepts the fact that he's about to die is Shiro.
That's what I was half thinking the Burning City was Fuyuki.
That's what I'm leaning toward. I think it's just different participants and thus potentially a different outcome.
Fuyuki still burns, though.
I think, yeah, it does. I don't know if a fifth Grail War happens in this. I don't know if Shiro... I assume Shiro's probably not a part of it. Because Twice was in there as a participant, and in the original Zero, he's not. So something changes. Whether or not that's just, oh man, I'm this guy here now as a master, and I've summoned something else. Like, maybe he's a different caster master. Who knows?
So is Rin, quote-unquote, the same timeline Rin, but since the timeline split, Rin is now different, can we assume that if you go back to Phase Zero, they would be the same Rin?
I would argue yes, they would probably be the same Rin up until the start of the Zero's Grail War. Because at that point, who knows what events unfold as that's going on with different people involved. Yeah, her thing's different. Apparently, at some point, we got like King, what's his face, Leo, who's supposed to be like the king messiah of humanity that will get the Grail, will obtain the Moon Cell and be able to save humanity, aka just keep everything status quo and make everything just the same. Whereas Rin's like, nah, fuck that. I'm technically a terrorist now because I want to make things better for people. And it might very well be that she saw the Fuyuki fire, and was like, no, this is fucking wrong. People need to be saved. And took maybe a similar route to that of like Shiro and his dad. I'm blanking on his name. Shit, this is gonna bother me. Kiritsugu.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, she probably took a path similar to that, but maybe not to the same extremes. I'd also argue that we have Hakuno, who's just a mass of a handful of different characters together. Like, half the memories he's getting is what I assume are from people that make him up. Like, half the time when he's in with Alice, right? You're seeing him, but there's a focus at one point on like the back of his hand, and it just has a different command seal set.
I did notice that, and I was going, wait, what's going on?
So what I think, one of two things is going on with that. Either A, Hakuno's physical form existed previously as a different master, and he's just using that physical... No, not even. Like, outright the physical version of him is being used there. Like, maybe the original Hakuno got reincarnated as a man before and then died, right?
Okay.
Or vice versa, who knows? Because that Hakuno was an NPC as well. Or the other option is that, and this kind of makes it weird because of the ways that some other things have played out, where he sees, like, he's living that memory, but he's living it with his own mental projection of himself there, just with the different command seals for that other master, right? Let's say you were living through somebody else's memories, but like you physically feel like it's you there, like your body, and not, whoever's memories it actually is. I would say it's one of those two. If it's the last one that I just mentioned, then it doesn't make a lot of sense when you start thinking back to the other stuff he remembers, like that girl that was fighting Rin at one point.
Right.
Because he sees her memories at one point. Hell, he talks to her technically. But like, he sees some of the memories that she goes through, like drinking all this shit and all this other crap, and what she's going through.
So is Deadface kind of his super mode?
I mean, Deadface is when he's channeling all of those hated emotions.
He doesn't seem to be a full mage unless he enters Deadface.
Maybe?
Is that because he was initially an NPC?
It could be. I'm not really sure. It could very well be that, like, hell, I think Saber mentions it, or Rin mentions it at one point, that, like, it's because he's inexperienced, and that, like, he's gotta learn to focus on, like, specific memories to be able to pull out whatever spell that original mage's memories used to be good with.
So does that mean Twice is also compiled of several people? Because Twice has Deadface powers too.
Yes. That would be the assumption anyway. I'm not 100% sure about Twice. Because from what I read of him, in the books, he's just a regular NPC. He's not a Deadface.
Oh, really?
Like, the Deadface is something that comes strictly from this series. Like, this anime. Because they explain that, like, it's because Twice essentially shut down the whole reincarnation and resetting of the Grail War until somebody wins. That's why the leftover emotions aren't being processed. The leftover soul dregs or whatever they are aren't getting reborn, quote unquote. And as such, they form like this weird amalgamation that is called a dead face that, is a compressed version of a bunch of different parts.
And the fifth floor guy also was dead face.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Hey, it could also be the same thing that Hakuno is dealing with, where the core of that person was the one that, was the major form.
And what happened on floor 4 that was so unimportant?
Budget cuts.
Probably.
Time constraints.
But, there was nothing really happened there. We won't even talk about it.
Yeah, literally, that's kind of what that's just straight up telling me when I hear that, is just, budget cuts and time constraints. That's why. That's why we can't show you. Because fast forward.
And supposedly, Tomomo Nome was going to be the fourth floor master servant.
I don't know. Technically, I know in the games that your main character can resummon her, because Twice is essentially, I think Twice has her. I think he loses at some point, begs desperately to like have another thing, and that's when he gets Saver, aka the Buddha, that comes down out of compassion to help him. Yeah. And then, because I guess Tomomo is no longer an actual servant that is bound to anyone, she's available for a summon.
Because your three choices are Nero, Tomomo, or Emiya.
Emiya is an interesting choice that he'd be in there.
And he's one of the three main choices to choose your starter Pokemon. I'm not
I don't know, man. Sure. He'd probably be my last choice, I'll be honest.
I'm not too sure if you can have multiple servants in the game Fate Extra.
Don't know.
I may pull out my slow, crappy PSP emulator and see if I could run Fate Extra on it, just so I could understand or attempt to understand what's going on. Sorry, it may have been my old computer, but that thing ran at like 15 FPS, Ouch. Maybe less.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was really slow at some points.
It's because you had integrated graphics, not an actual GPU, I think.
Maybe.
Because I know that shit was hard for me when I had one like that, my first laptop. Hell, it had trouble playing RuneScape at some points.
I have no idea what RuneScape is, but I have just enough knowledge to go, what?
It was a browser-based MMO.
Yeah, I know.
With
I know
really
that
bad
much.
graphics at the time.
I know that much, but if it has trouble running RuneScape, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was having trouble running that, and I say that with like a bit of hesitation, only because of the fact that like I'm not 100% sure how much of it was my PC at that point and how much of it was the servers. I'm leaning toward it being the PC because I would try to get places with as low a ping as I could get. What else do you want to discuss that was very confusing? And I'll see if I can probably maybe shed light on it and then just cry and give up in a corner.
Let's see what else I can think of, because...
We want to talk about how amazing Drake is and how it's such a fucking shame that she got streamed up A, with Shinji, and B, barely got any screen time.
Right.
Like, come on.
I like her.
Well, like, come on. She loses because she runs out of ammo in her gun? Are you kidding me? Fuck off.
And she needs to flood the entire first floor?
No, she doesn't. There's literally no reason. She has a fucking flying ship. Like fucking flying ship at that point. You don't need to flood it for anything. That was literally just done to make it fancy.
Robin Hood was nice.
He was interesting, and he probably got a little bit more development than what Drake got. But, I mean, he still doesn't have much going on. Like, it's basically just, follow orders. Whatever.
Oh, and a follow-up. I did check after we finish the main episode whether or not I have Lubu. I do, but I don't play with him all that much since he's only a 2-star.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you like got him enough in friend point summons to like have him memorized, because I do. Well, that and stories, because he's popped up in stories.
Yeah, I don't have a encyclopedic knowledge of all the servants because I think there's like 300-ish altogether.
Again, that'll change as you play more and get more story input. The story input's what really makes it solidify in your head, I think.
And why, I'm not too sure about the whole legend, but why did Gawain have Excalibur?
He doesn't. He has its sister sword, Excalibur Galatane.
Oh, really? That's called like Excalibur Galantane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
More or less, at least the legend in this goes, is that Gawain was never defeatable during the day. He was a knight of the sun, and so long as the sun shone, he would always find victory. Hence, the only way he could ever be defeated is if it was during the night. Hell, you'll get there's a fucking fight with him in Camelot when you get to that part in Fate Go, where that's literally a problem.
Oh.
Like, you're fighting him during the day. He will not lose. He will not die. He basically gets the same thing that a ruler class gets, where it's like he makes every single attack, regardless of what class it is, ineffective, right? Like, it's half normal damage.
Oh.
Like, he basically gets ruler class, but he has class advantage against like any lancers or whatnot. And every turn he's getting 2 charge on a 4-bar Noble Phantasm gauge.
Shit.
Yeah, it gets kind of crazy. It's really hard and annoying to beat him.
Shit.
It's obnoxious.
I know, like, this is not mentioned at all, but Leo must have beat somebody to make it to level 7.
Yep.
But Lynn and Ronnie, they're always at a stalemate, so they couldn't go up.
Yep.
Why? Were they just so evenly matched?
That's the thought. They were just so evenly matched, and it got to the point where, from what I understand, they both dealt each other a fatal blow. And because of like the way Seraph was kind of crumbling thanks to Twice, it resorted to using them and keeping them alive so that it could use them as batteries to keep things going.
So they both lost and won simultaneously?
Yes. Which means to the system, it's a draw, so nobody gets to go.
So that's why they went down to the first floor to find somebody to beat one of them?
Either that or to die to one of them, one of the two. Because if another master would die, they could then, one of them would be able to ascend. However, and here's the problem, I think they would still be stuck in the position they'd be in because they've already gotten at that point. They needed somebody to heal them and bring them back. And the minute that, one of them, somebody starts accessing one, the other one fails because it can't take their energy anymore. Like, it's not enough to have just one. It needs 2 to keep going. At least that's the way I'm taking it.
And you said Ronnie is whose master?
Lubu.
Okay.
The only thing that looks interesting is like the goggles she's wearing sometimes when she's got like the Lubu armor on.
Wait. I thought Lubu was level 5 servant.
No. 2.
Who was level 5?
For what?
No, who was the level, like the 5th floor servant? Like punchy guy.
Oh, Li Shuen.
Okay. Because they were both berserkers, and I was half confusing them.
Yeah, Li Shuen, at least in Grand Order, is actually a Lancer.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I'm
But
not 100% sure on his legend because A, I don't have it, and B, I haven't really looked into it.
but there's a lot of stuff that I think needs to be explained. Like, this would be far better as a 24 episode one.
I said this feels like you needed an extra season to like understand what's going on.
Because when they were hitting stage 6 at, no, stage 7 with episode 11, like going into episode 11, I was thinking, wait, this is 13 episodes. How can they wrap this up in 3 episodes?
Well, that and there's like so much that's going. Like, let's talk about fucking floor 7 for a second, right?
Yeah.
Nero takes a sidetrack and apparently stops by like a building or something to like I guess lay down a flower at the grave of the original Hakuno, which is weird because they died up top with twice.
Maybe Gawain was a nice guy and carried her body down to the gravesite?
Maybe, but then give us a flashback to confirm that. Why would Twice give him the body anyway? Why would he care?
Because Twice was
Then
feeling less
how would
douchey that
Nero
day?
know? How would Nero know though?
Oh yeah, Nero was erased
Yeah, Nero
too.
died up top too. She would not know that's where the body was.
Uh,
And I have to
maybe
assume that house or something had to have played some kind of role in the game, but we have no idea.
maybe this is dipping a little bit closer to a 6.2 now.
See, this is why I said a 6 because there's so much that's kind of left out, and it doesn't succeed in the fact that you can't just watch this on its own. It
Yeah.
leaves too many plot holes, and less because it's a Fate series, and more because the game has a lot more detail that you need to understand.
And you said Extella is part of the extra universe?
I want to say yes because it does take place in Seraph, and the moon cell's a thing. I
Oh.
feel like it's part of it. How it's connected exactly, I don't know, because it feels like it takes place immediately after a Grail War has happened. Like, what is it? Your main character ends up going into the server area or wherever it is to like connect with the moon cell, get your admin privileges, quote unquote, to be able to use the moon cell as you see fit in Seraph. Our character wakes up after like some shit has gone down after he went in there.
So, is Extella one of the restarts Lynn was talking about?
Maybe? I don't know. Because it still feels like he's the only human. Because, like, how was it? Here's a thing, and I guess this is technically a spoiler, but fuck it, it's something you learn kind of early on too. You basically find out that like as a consequence of whatever shit happened inside. Again, I haven't finished the game, so I don't know what the specific cause is, but whatever happened in there caused you to like your character to fragment somehow. There are now 3 versions of your character running around. The one you're controlling, and then one of the other 2, which would be either what is it? I think it's the soul that's with Nero. Tomomo no Mei is back, and she's got the mind. And then I think the body is with a new character called Altera or Attila.
Okay.
That's where she comes from, by the way. Is that game?
Attila the Hun?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe that's her first appearance, as far as I'm aware, at least. But yeah, your character is split up into 3 fragments that you're trying to get back together. Meanwhile, those 3 servants are essentially having a territory war to try and take control, and each one of them has a ring on their finger called a regalia that allows them admin privileges. It's not full because there's 3 of them, so it's split. Same as your main character.
So, what have most of these masters have been doing for the past 1,000 years? Like Shinji.
I'm assuming like the however many 108 or whatever that came back down to the first floor are just fucking around having a good time in their houses now because they're so tired of just nonstop partying.
Okay, since everybody. But wait, some of the masters had to have fought and killed each other.
Oh yeah, they did. Like there are some that fought and died. How many of them died to fucking to nursery rhyme slash Alice up on the third
Uh,
floor? Like there were at least two or three.
128, 30. Well, if you want to have like maximum number, like a maximum of, I think it was 31.
Yeah, there were plenty of them that came up there and just started getting slaughtered by her as she started losing her mind. Sad, sad story.
Turn
So
back
who
time.
do you think is worse now? Is it Alice slash nursery rhyme, or
Jack.
is it Jack? Who's worse? Who's the sadder little girl?
By worse, you mean worse story.
Yeah, who gets it the worst? Is it Jack or nursery?
I will say Alice because of the bodily mutilation kind of that she had to go through.
I mean, Jack's also like, oh man. Well, Jack's kind of they're both kind of terrible, but I guess Jack's is technically the fact that like she's the culmination of a bunch of different emotions, kind of similar to like a dead face, but like not so much in the way of like I hate things, but like wanting to be born. Technically, a lot of the dead and unborn are what make her up, whereas Alice is just constantly reliving the same horrible pain every time she resets.
And that monster form of hers, ugh.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of tissue,
Nightmare.
tissue. How are your nightmares for the next week or so?
Um, I saw that episode on Thursday, and right now is Saturday, so Thursday and Friday I had pretty good dreams that I could remember.
I'll be honest, that's another one that cuts around in a lot of weird ways, and I think it's meant to be confusing. Because
And
it's even confusing to Hakuno himself.
yeah, and slightly more disturbing that way.
It's, like the first episode of that, like episode 3, you're just like, what the fuck is even going? And then episode 4 is like, oh my god, why? It's so sad.
And the whole time reset.
Yeah, like turning back the page, letting the story play out again.
Be my friend. Please be my friend.
Don't leave me alone, Oni-chan.
You leaving. Turn back the page. You're here again.
And then the sad moment when she finally sees him up there with the book. Oh. See, that's part of the reason why I feel like it was Hakuno's physical body that was there. Like the original version of him that was there, or whatever. Because Nursery seems to recognize right at the end that he came back. That's why I think whoever Hakuno's physical body was modeled after, that's why we had that whole memories kicking in of him being him there, and not like him projecting, I guess, his own physical form over that person.
We could say that Stay Night has its own sub-franchise within the Fate franchise, and Fate Extra has its own franchise, and hopefully the Fate Extra side of things will expand in the next year or two until we can get a little bit more information on what happens in this anime. And I know we probably won't. I know as a play the game, you'll maybe understand better. But from what I've heard, people who play the game are also equally confused by the amount of changes they made to the story.
That's gonna hurt. I mean, then we get, what is it, Fate Extra Triple C or CCC or whatever, however they pronounce it, where we fucking get AIs in there that are taking over, like BB and Passion Lip and Melt Lilith.
Yeah, I thought I saw BB at one point.
Yes, you did. That's another reference where they're in like the nurse's office. That is totally BB in there.
Yes, the nurse's office.
Yep, that is completely BB.
So is she a servant?
She's an AI.
Oh, she's an AI there.
Hmm. Her original purpose was, I believe, to tend to the humans that would enter into Seraph. I think the Moon Cell originally created her to do that when humans started entering in, and partly for the Grail War. Now,
Huh.
whether it was specifically for the Grail War or just when humans were getting in, I'm not sure. But I think it's after that she starts going rogue. Like she starts in Triple C. I know she starts breaking down and starts doing her own thing that is not her core programming, or doing it in a warped, fucked up way. One of the two.
Just a little side note that I wanted to tell you about earlier. There is a waiver anime out now.
I'm not surprised. Wait. Which one is it? What's it called? Is it the one I think it is?
The Case Files of Lord L. Meloy II.
It's the one I'm thinking of. Yes, I've seen that. That's the one where we get Gray, and Gray is fucking awesome. You like saber faces? We got another one for you.
Oh my god.
Descendant to King Arthur. Let's go.
Oh my god. So, is he super serious mode, or is he still half bumbling waiver?
If he's Lord Elmaloy, I'm pretty sure he's serious at this point.
Hmm.
He's
So
adult version. I don't think he's going to be bumbling anymore.
okay,
That's probably going to
because
be Gray's point at this in
it
this one.
says taking place 10 years after Phase Zero.
So yeah, he becomes Lord Elmaloy after that. I would say he's serious.
Why is he the second?
He replaces the first Lord Elmaloy, and it's more of a title than it is an actual like name
Oh,
change.
okay. Even that is getting a spinoff, so hopefully we'll get some other Fate Extra spinoff that might or might not explain things, even if it tells the story of BB in the nurse's office.
Oh, that's interesting.
What?
So I decided to take a look at Gray quick, and that's right. I forgot she was cloaked in shit. She's also in apparently Fate Labyrinth. That's one I haven't heard of. And Fate Strange Fake, which if
Strange
that's the one I
Fake?
think it is, yes, this is the one that's really really freaking cool.
Strange Fake?
Yes, if this is the one I think it is. Yes, it is. Okay, so here's the thing, right? And we're obviously going off on a huge tangent here, but fuck it.
What else is new?
Strange Fake, from what I understand, is a series where there are 14 masters or something like that, similar to Apocrypha. It's still a free for all, but each one gets a copy of a servant, right? Like you have two berserkers, two assassins, etc., right? One is true, one is false. One is not the original, one is the original, but they're not the same heroic spirit. We have I forget who's who. Let me see. False Archer. Which one is False Archer? So False Archer in this case is actually Gilgamesh.
Okay.
But True Archer, and this is one that's gonna make you go, what the fuck, is Heracles.
What the fuck?
And it's kind of weird because what I know of these things is like from what I understand of these, it's basically where shit. Let's take a look at Heracles in this case. Heracles no longer is insane. He is sane in this regard. However, he's thrown away all of his divinity, but also has access to all the noble phantasms he had due to his 12 labors.
Okay.
So he has a noble phantasm per each labor.
Whoa. And jumping back into Fate Extra right now, but can anybody, NPC, master, servant, otherwise, type into Seraph in the air. Can only masters do that?
I would assume once they all have their memories and realize that they're actually in a simulation, essentially, they all have access to that.
So even an NPC could do that as long as the NPC knows they are just computer data.
I would say yes. So long as they're aware that they can do it, then they could probably do it. Now, what they could actually do might be limited by whatever safeguards have been put in place. Like Seraph may not allow NPCs to do that themselves, like at least during its normal state, anyway. Or maybe it's because an NPC became a master that it has access to that. Who knows?
Kind of like Hakuno.
Yeah, the Hakuno, twice, original Hakuno.
Hakuno, the 129th master.
The thing would be that it's I don't know the limitations on NPCs, whether or not they would have access and the ability to do that under normal circumstances. I would assume that BB, as an AI, would be more than capable of doing that herself, if she would want to. And obviously, because masters suddenly know that where they're at, they would then have the ability to access it.
So was Leo sleeping for the past 900 years because he was so bored nobody came up to visit him?
It might very well be that. And it could also be that he was doing it to keep himself from being, corrupted or being disintegrated or whatever as a master that's just sitting there doing nothing. Because honestly, outside of Shinji, we never meet anyone that's an actual master that was alive from the first part of from that 1,000-year ago war.
Wasn't Dan part of it?
No, he was resummoned as a guy that had lost. There was no other floor master for that floor, so they brought him. I guess he got resummoned back. Remember, he lost.
So then he beat the floor master. But wait, they said once the floor master is beaten, the floor gets erased or nullified or what have you. Mm-hmm. So if Dan beat
I would say it's because they're the last master on that floor. But Dan can't ascend because he's not technically a human anymore.
Oh, so because of that, the floor stays intact?
It stays intact to what he wants it to be, I guess. In this case, that foresty thing.
Which makes him a gigantic douche using his sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, there's just some masters who know how to play dirty.
Technically, it's a free-for-all war.
I know.
Do what it takes to win, man. And unfortunately, in Dan's case, even if he would want to, he can't get up.
So, if he would kill everybody else, he would be stuck on floor 2 for eternity.
Unless he would want to go back down to 1, which I guess is possible for him. I could be wrong, though, because I don't know what the rules are for a floor master. They may not be able to leave that floor. Like, go down, I mean.
Man, he will never have a beer again.
Nope. Well, fucking, he can make it whatever he wants. He could summon a beer if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah. Type, oh, beer. Yay. But how does Seraph know what a beer tastes like?
I mean, it just took in humans as data, so I'm pretty sure it could replicate whatever their memories have.
Let's just say this. How did Seraph get on the moon in the first place? Aliens?
I think I answered that in the original one, where it was put in place by some other species, probably, way before humanity existed.
I don't think you got into that.
I know I didn't get deep. I mentioned it off the cuff, but I'm pretty sure I said something about it. I don't know if it got put in place because humanity would eventually be there. Like, the actual origins of it are unknown. Like, even in Extella, it does not know. Like, it does not tell us. They just assume that it was put in place by some other species for purposes unknown. And for all we know, if we're still going to go with, like, maybe the collision ring theory of how the moon was formed, maybe it was an accident that it got here in the first place. maybe the thing that impacted the Earth and eventually created the moon, maybe that was the moon cell or whatever was carrying the moon cell.
Maybe?
Like there's a lot of conclusions and speculation you can draw. I don't know if Extella ever says, because again, not finished it, or if its sequel series Extella Link has any ideas either.
So, sequel series, you said. So, are there plans of making an Extella anime?
I have no idea. I don't mean series, but I mean the sequel game.
Okay, sequel game.
Because you have Extella and Extella Link, and I don't know if Extella Link is more of an add-on than it is a sequel. I have no idea.
Wow.
Because for all I know, Extella Link is like, cool, you played the first game? Awesome. Here's like another chunk of story added in.
Wow, we're not getting anywhere.
No, we're not. Because we don't know.
Well,
there's so much we don't know.
But it's good that we're talking about it, trying to build conclusions. I don't know.
Maybe there's some Fate fan that watches this that can explain things that we don't know.
Oh, you guys are missing the complete obvious thing that no.
We could literally wiki dive this if we really, really wanted to and had nothing else to do. I unfortunately don't have the time. I could only wiki dive so much.
Me neither.
Because we'd be looking back on like at minimum one game in the past, if not potentially more, if we want all of the extra story that we're looking at here. All of the extra story that we're looking at here.
So much Fate, so little time. Oh my god. But Fate is still a great franchise, and although I had problems with Extra Last Encore, that doesn't dissuade me from watching anything else Fate related.
Mm-hmm.
Or potentially playing anything else Fate related. And of course, Rin's in it. So anything with Rin
oh my fucking god,
is a good
why?
thing. What?
It's always Rin. All the time, every time it's Rin.
By the way, I just looked at Gray. She is cute.
She is Saberface.
Yes, she's a cutie.
I forget what her goal is, but I know Waver's whole mission is to more or less help her do what she needs to do. I think it has something to do with Arturia's grave, or her supposed grave, and whatever her lantern is that she carries. I think. But it's been a while since I read on that stuff. I think I read about that stuff like a year ago or something like that.
It would be interesting just to see that a little bit. Maybe I'll watch that on the side. Because there's so much anime that I could be watching right now, but either A, I don't know it exists, or B, I'm too busy watching our current anime that I have no time for some of them.
Yeah.
I guess, thanks for sitting through our rambling, and if we missed something blatantly obvious, please put it down in the comments.
Oh, here you go. All right, I found out what Gray's purpose is again.
Okay.
Whether or not this is actually what Waver's going to do, I don't remember actually now that I'm reading it. Apparently the plan is to revive King Arthur.
Oh?
But each of the people that have been, like, given that role have failed each and every time for one reason or another.
Oh.
You know, the whole once and future king thing? Yeah, they're trying to do that future part now. Oh, interesting. And so she also... So she had her own face with a vague resemblance to Arturia, but as she grew older, it became more and more like hers.
Interesting. So Saberface could be a slight curse.
Maybe in this case?
Interesting. Join us again on The Deep End whenever we have trouble with an anime, which may come in 5 weeks, it may come in 25 weeks.
It's true.
Yeah, I think this is only like the 5th one we did.
It's been a minute too since we've done one.
Yeah, yeah. And I know we did one for Big O, but that got erased due to my computer crash.
Hard drive failures are the worst.
Yep, so I don't know when the last one we did exactly was.
Uh-huh.
So, be sure to check out our other stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. We would love it if you would share this around too.
It would be most helpful.
Yeah, so with that, I guess it's time to bid adieu.
Adieu to you, adieu, and you.